Welcome to Film Love. Today we're doing a somewhat retro review of Fast X, released in 2023. While many would disagree with me, I think this may very well be my favorite installment of the franchise. It does its job of upping the stakes, which it needed to, considering it's the first half of the final narrative in this increasingly ridiculous saga, while also carrying with it a somewhat intimate feel. That intimate focus comes courtesy of it tying back into Fast Five, which is many people's choice for the best of the bunch, and understandably so, as it set the tone for the remainder of the saga and took it from a series about racing and petty theft to a full on bombastic action franchise. At the very least, it opened the door for it to become very much bombastic. It's also nice to see them incorporate unused footage of Paul Walker's Brian O'Connor. Even in just that one little Fast Five scene in the opening of X, he feels far more present here than he did in F9, in which his absence was kind of explained away with a dashed off, shoehorned in bit of dialogue from Mia that he's watching the kids. It also has a trio of solid additions in Brie Larson, playing the daughter of Kurt Russell's Mr. Nobody, Reacher's Alan Ritchson, who ends up playing against heroic type, and the Suicide Squad's Daniela Melchior, whose character is tied back to Elsa Pataki's Elena Neves. Then there's Jason Momoa as Dante Reyes, who, like Ritchson's Ames, ties back to Fast Five's villain, Hernan Reyes. Momoa plays a stereotypical just crazy, overenthusiastic type villain, but it actually works here because he's a likable presence and clearly having a blast with the part. X also continues to embrace the winning formula of having Dom and the family serve as saviors, most notably with the bomb rolling towards the Vatican set piece. They're charmingly playing superhero, with Dom using his car to shield people from exploding gas pumps with pergolas, bumping the bomb so it doesn't crush a woman with her dog. That said, the reporter then announcing that no lives were claimed is a bit laughable. Even with the bomb going off in the water, that was a huge explosion. Let's face it, some lives were claimed.
One.
Even still, it's not without its flaws. This is a franchise that has a hard time keeping villains as villains and keeping heroes dead. To the former point, turning Deckard Shaw good ended up working, even if it was hard to stomach at first considering he killed Han. But there's also a pretty big personality shift in terms of John Cena's Jacob Toretto. Yes, he had reformed by the end of F9, but he seems like an entirely different person here when he's with Dom's son. And while Cena is a likable actor and his scenes with Little B technically help further the plot, they're the closest the movie comes to having true cringe moments. He also has a sacrifice scene that closes out his part in the movie, but just as Han came back and at the end of this one Giselle comes back, we can't quite count Jacob fully out yet. And that's a problem. Scenes like him sacrificing himself don't carry the weight that they should because fewer protagonists die in these Fast movies than in the MCU. But on the opposite side of the coin, if he is truly dead, it's a pretty brief arc for his character. Villain, reformed villain, hero uncle, dead hero uncle. It is fun to see Charlize Theron do the atomic blonde John Wick thing when her men betray her character, Cypher. But it's another case of a Fast movie gradually turning an antagonist who killed the mother of Dom's son into something of a protagonist. But the silliest thing about the movie has to do with a different character, Rita Moreno's Abuelita Toretto. Dom's such a family man, iconically so, yet it takes 10, technically 11 including Hobbs and Shaw, or even still 8 if we're just counting the ones led by Vin Diesel. It takes at least 8 movies to meet his grandmother. Also, what about his mother? Literally never been mentioned. Plus, it's funny hearing her talk about a legacy that will live forever when technically she's referring to the fact that they are thieves and murderers. Like, it starts off with the Fast Five flashback, and in that we watch Dom kill like 117 cops. But Even still, the good outweighs the bad here. For every insufferable Pete Davidson cameo, you get one of the best scenes of the entire franchise, which is when Jason Statham's Deckard Shaw is kicking a punching bag that has a man inside of it. That's pretty great. So, all in all, this is my favorite one. The second half of the movie falls off a little bit, but again, the good outweighs the bad with Fast X. So I would give it three, or let's say 3.5 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching Film Love, and I hope you have a great day.